Today, I'm interviewing Candace Craw-Goldman, helping awaken the others on this planet since 2000. She has been a quantum healing hypnosis therapy practitioner since 2008. She assisted Dolores Cannon personally in her live classes for several years before her passing. She founded and continues to run the original Dolores Cannon Worldwide Professional Support Forum for QHHT practitioners. You can also hear Candace bi-weekly on Tuesdays with her BBS internet radio show called New Earth Journey. She also has a weekly show Fridays with N5D Radio called Quantum Healing with Candace. Candace offers coaching and consulting services, and you can find her at newearthjourney.com. Stay tuned. This is a very exciting interview. Aloha! You've tuned in to the Hawaii Healing Network, and I'm your host, Kristina Mekdeci. Good morning. Today I'm with Candace Craw-Goldman, and she is the #1 quantum healing hypnotherapist trained by Dolores Cannon. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got there?
Wow, well, sure, I'd be happy to. So back in 2008, I found myself taking a class with Dolores Cannon in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's a great story how I got there, and I'm actually writing a book, believe it or not, with Dolores' help. She's sitting right here on my right side, whispering in my ear, telling me what to include and parts of the story. As I'm writing it, it's becoming even bigger. We're recording this interview actually the day before the 1-year anniversary of Dolores' death. I don't know if you realize that or not, Kristina.
Has it been 1 year?
So many things have changed in the world of QHHT, and I'll have an article coming out tomorrow on the anniversary of her death, both on my blog, and N5D.com is also going to be publishing that article. So basically, I ended up in Dolores Cannon's class.
What was inspiring you to take her class and to do this type of work?
It's part of what will be in my book. It's a wonderful story. I'd be happy to tell you. I was suffering from a pain condition. The doctors called it fibromyalgia, but that's, as we all know, kind of a wastebasket term, and it just describes a pain condition. What was interesting about my pain condition, though, was, and I'd had it for many, many years. As a matter of fact, it started when I was a teenager. I started to have pain in my shoulder. I was just a teenager, and it was inexplicable. It didn't seem to come from anywhere, and it just kept going. I had headaches. I had TMJ. I had hearing loss. I just cycled through all this, and it was always on the left. Everything was on the left. I had kidney stones on the left side. I had pelvic pain on the left side. I had stomach pain on the left, everything on the left. I actually, before even doing this kind of work, I started calling it my left disease. I mean, I really noticed it. You know, everything on the right side of my body was fine. On the left side, I had trouble. And of course, I didn't realize it till sitting in that class with Dolores in 2008 is one of the first things that she said. I remember turning to my roommate and saying, "That's the price of the class right there. That is gold." If I learned nothing else, what I learned was, in general, left-sided symptoms can indicate that the issue is from a past life. And that's exactly, I think, where it came from. And also, I wasn't quite on my correct path. What got me there was this pain condition, but what really, truly got me there in detail, meaning in that class at that time, was I'd had a profound spiritual experience where the pain of the fibromyalgia had me laying in bed, and I missed a very important photo shoot. I was doing professional photography at the time, and I had created a big shoot for a country and western singer, and I had lights, and I had a crew, and I'd been working on this photo shoot for months, and it was supposed to be one day, and I woke up that day and I knew I couldn't go. And I couldn't go because my body wouldn't allow me to go. It was just awful. I felt like I was letting so many people down. And I laid in bed and I just started praying. But I prayed in a different sort of way than I normally did before. Before, pray for grace or pray for understanding or pray for help to take away my pain. It's, for some reason that day, my prayer was different. It was, what am I supposed to do different? What am I supposed to do? I can't keep doing this. I I can't. It was kind of like the dark night of the soul.
Right.
I cannot keep doing this. What am I supposed to do? I've been to every doctor. I tried all these therapies. I mean, if somebody would have said, paint yourself purple, stick little flowers on yourself and spin around naked in the town square, it might help you. I'd be like, okay, I'm there.
Yeah.
I was trying anything anyone would tell me about diet, about, just all this stuff. And nothing ever worked. For some reason, the prayer was just different. It was like, what am I supposed to do? I'm done with doctors. I'm done. I'm done. What am I supposed to do? I kind of prayed myself into a stupor, and I found myself standing in a field. I literally had an out-of-body experience, and I found myself standing in a field. Imagine that I'd been laying in bed praying just for hours. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And I came to a semicircle of light beings in the valley. The one in the center, there was about 5 of them there, and they were humanoid shaped, but no features, very light beings. And of course, now I know, because of doing QHHT, this was my light council. The figure in the center stood up and literally handed me a piece of paper. And I'm like, okay. And I take the paper and I look at it and I read. And on the piece of paper, in this incredible out-of-body experience, was listed 3 things for me to do.
What were those?
The number 1 thing was, go to your doctor and tell him you're tired. Now, that was really interesting. I'll explain that in a second, how that worked out. The second thing was volunteer for, it's an organization called Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep. If you're not familiar with it, it's a beautiful organization that provides volunteer services for infant bereavement photography, mothers who lose babies either at birth or stillbirth or trauma or etc. in the hospital, provides beautiful memorabilia, kind of, remembrance photography for babies who've passed. And I'd known about this organization, but I never thought I could do that. Mm-hmm. But I was told, go do that. And then the third thing was have a past life regression. All of this is in my book, or will be in my book. First part was go to your doctor, tell him you're tired. Well, I wasn't tired, but I went to him the very next day, told him I was tired. It made him think about something he'd never tried before, which was to check my vitamin B12 levels, which were horribly low. Huh. And I wasn't tired, but my body expressed that low vitamin count in my blood as severe muscle spasms. I was so low on vitamin B12, I started taking therapy and it started helping right away. So that was the number 1 thing. The number 2 thing, volunteer for that. That was to bring me in the room with angels. Wow. There's no place on the planet where there are more angels than where birth and death happen on the same day.
And you could already see the angels by now. You knew you had that gift.
Every once in a while, not always. I'm not as psychic as most, but yes, I do have my moments where I do see those things. And then the third thing was have a past life regression. And the very next day, and of course, this story is just so incredible. I thought I was on a movie. This all happened the next day. A friend had sent me a book, and it was one of Dolores's Convoluted Universe books, and with a little note inside saying, maybe you'd like to go up there. She's teaching this class. So of course I'm putting all of this together, and I'm like, well, yeah, I'm going to try to go. And then more magical things happened and got me there. And then the most magical thing happened for me, which was I knew before I ever even left the state of Texas where we were living at the time that I was going to be the demonstration subject for Dolores's class that day. And I never even asked her, by the way, which I didn't ask. And I didn't ask on purpose. I watched other people ask, and I still knew she would pick me. I just knew it. There were so many things that were so definitive that were happening that I knew these things were going to happen. Ever since that day, I've been just marching forward because I know that my path and my purpose has been very much intertwined with Dolores, her work, and her legacy. And so it is my passion, my pleasure, and my purpose to support not only Dolores. I like to promote others who do this work, other practitioners. And so I have a great family of practitioner friends and colleagues. We have a support forum, Dolores's original support forum, which was founded in 2008, just about 7 years strong now. Yeah, and it's just expanding. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. QHHT has really, there are many of us who believe it's really changed since Dolores has died for the better in this way. We think that she, from where she is right now,
Oh, yes.
is just I mean, I can feel her. She's right here, right now. She's here during this conversation that I'm having with you.
Absolutely.
And she's helping all of us out there. Some of the most amazing things that are happening is Dolores is contacting even clients, people who are not interested in pursuing this work as a career or as a path, but people who may benefit from a session. Even other people who don't even need a session simply are benefiting from reading her books or getting messages from her. I field emails and phone calls every day from people who are like, Dolores Cannon told me to, and then fill in the blank.
I didn't want to see her go because she felt like a grandmother to me. And the way she loved her chocolate chip cookies.
She loved cookies, didn't
she did. But she definitely can do more work more expansively in the place she's at now.
Exactly, and that's what she's been telling us. I've been getting many reports from practitioners and others about different things that she's whispering in their ear about, help or ways to try different things in sessions, or just simply having her be there as a support, offering that sense of confidence and strength there is very valuable to a practitioner. Dolores always says, you think you have something figured out and you can kind of like close the book and set it aside and go on to something else. You just understand things even more deeply. Now that I have Dolores right here, she is saying some things to me about all of that I never even considered. I never even thought about. And it makes it so much richer and the story so much more poignant and really more beautiful for me personally. And I hope, everyone else who's interested in her work in the pursuit of the understanding of consciousness and balance and health and, raising our vibration and just having a nicer place on the planet for all of us to live. Believe it or not, even though I worked with her on with the forum and everything for about 6 years or so, I was able to assist her in teaching. Interestingly enough, and I know it's going to be kind of hard for people to understand out there, she's more available to me now than she even was then. And I got to spend time with her. I got to ask her questions. I got to sit next to her while she was teaching others, class after class after class. She's right here, right now, almost all of the time. So the relationship is richer and deeper and more consistent in a way. I do understand, and everybody out there should understand, that when we hear people, anybody, even me, say things like that we're hearing people like that, it does come through a filter. It does come through me. You do have to be clear, and people have different perceptions. One of the things that I'm fond of remembering is Dolores used to talk about the fact, she says, well, when I'm gone, she used to say, when I'm gone, I'm not going to let anybody channel me. I remember her saying that. She was just very funny, and anyone who's ever been around her would recognize that in her. So when I've been hearing her in my head, her voice and everything, and I'm basically saying, Dolores, you said you weren't going to let anyone channel you. Right? And you know what she has said to me? You're not channeling me, you're just listening to me.
It's so Dolores.
Isn't it? Yes. And when she says some things like that, then I have to go, oh. And you know what, Kristina, have you read that amazing book, The Afterlife of Billy Fingers?
No, I have not.
Oh gosh, it's an excellent book. It's by Annie Kagan, and it's a bestseller, and she's got Facebook pages. She's got lots of following. She had a brother who passed, actually OD'd. It was a traumatic death, and it was awful for their family and everything. But at some point, he started talking to her, and she wrote this book all about it. My favorite thing about this book that she wrote, she would hear what some of the things he would say, and she'd go, Billy, his name's Billy, you're going to have to prove it to me. Just going to have to prove it to me. And so Billy, from where he is on the other side of the veil, starts orchestrating these things to prove it to her. That's what makes this book. Guess what I've done?
Ask Dolores to prove things, and she's doing it.
She is.
Of course.
So I just keep going. Yeah, it's an amazing ride.
If you could simplify what a QHHT, a quantum healing hypnotherapy session is, In the simplest of terms, for those who have not experienced it, could you give our viewers kind of a rundown?
Sure. Well, QHHT, their very best way to start explaining what that is by actually talking about the past, which is Dolores used to call this past life regression. That's what it was. It was past life regression. And most people understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And what that simply is at a very relaxed state, you enter the recesses of your consciousness and you're able to pull up information about other lives that you might have lived. And when I took Dolores's class back in 2008, it was called Dolores Cannon's Method of Past Life Regression. Starting at about, I think it was about 2010 or 11 or so, they changed the name of it to Quantum Healing Hypnosis. And the reason they did that was because not always in this experience would the client experience a past life. They started to become all of these other things. It used to be quite this narrow thing, past life regression. It's so much bigger than that. It needed a bigger name, and that's where the bigger name came from. Now, from that perspective, I can tell you just a little bit about what that is.
Sure.
We are truly the creators of our own reality. We are a piece of the consciousness of God, if you want to look at it that way. In a QHHT session, absolutely anything and everything is possible to explore. The only boundaries are of your own making. And sometimes as we help clients into a very relaxed state, the boundaries sort of fall away. What is possible just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So why would anybody experience a QHHT session? For all kinds of reasons, to find answers to questions about things going on in their lives, for help with the physical body. Maybe you're experiencing physical challenges. Sometimes people have mysteries. What's going on and then, name it. They maybe have had an experience where they had missing time or they don't understand something. It's just bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You can travel anywhere. You can go to the smallest of the small within a molecule or an atom. You can go to the biggest of the big. You can go sit within God, energy, source itself. It's so big, it's so broad, it's so many things. It is not at all constrained. And that was the beauty of Dolores Cannon and her work. Whereas there's these amazing other teachers out there, and they are amazing. Michael Newton, Brian Weiss, some of those other people. For instance, just as an example, not as a judgment, as an example, Michael Newton focused very narrowly on what happens to you between your lives. So very narrow focus. Brian Weiss, past life regression, past lives. Well, Dolores was like, I can do that and more. Just all of that. All of it. That, and everything. That's what QHHT is. It sort of morphs and bends to whatever client is seeking, needing, feeling challenged by in their life. A QHHT session can help with any of it, whether it's career or health or simply questions for the cosmos or your higher self.
As I started doing the work, I was kind of sort of believing in aliens and other planetary lives. I wasn't really into it, and I knew she wasn't lying. I'm like, this stuff is kind of crazy, but this woman, Dolores, is telling the truth. Probably more than half my clients, right out the gate, other planets, bacteria, rock. It was better than reality TV for me. You're just sitting on the edge of your seat and you're just amazed because the people are speaking the truth. It is true what they're saying. Being a practitioner, for those people who do want to become one, it's really an exciting job.
It's very exciting. I know that my husband has asked me over the years about reading. He's like, it's been such a long time since you've read a novel, he'll say. And I'm like, why do I need to do anything like that? Going and having a session's like going to the movies, the places that you can go and discover right along with your clients. It's amazing. We say the moment that you schedule an appointment or to have a session, something gets unleashed in the universe. And I think Dolores is doing more and more and more connections and work back there. And as you say, our light councils, they're a light council, you're a light council, they get together, Dolores gets in there. in a QHHT session, we have the client has an experience of some kind.
Right.
And then at the second portion session, we speak to the higher self of that client. And depending on the connection, depending on all kinds of things, sometimes during that connection, a connection then is directly made to the practitioner. And that's actually how Dolores Cannon wrote her Nostradamus series. It's very much so. Actually, it's one of the things that she is quite adamant about us who are still earthbound to consider is how she managed that communication across time and space. Something about that needs more exploration by practitioners such as yourself and me and others who do this method. We really have way more power and ability to move through time and space and communicate and better our lives and the lives of our clients and of planet Earth itself by accessing some of these information fields. And it's getting easier. That's the interesting thing about it. It's getting easier and it's getting faster. So it's really a very exciting time to be pursuing this work. Certainly those who have other modalities under their belt, who've been speaking, who have experience with after-death communication or those kinds of things, there are a lot of dots being connected, absolutely. The expansiveness in these different areas of exploration, kind of like the dam is bursting. It's really amazing, but at the same time, I like to say that those who are just waking up and those who are just now beginning to open up their minds to this kind of possibility, it's still an amazing method because it can still be very simple. We always say that in a session, the client gets exactly what they want, and it's the combination of the energies too. The client and the practitioner, the combination of those two energies, it's kind of like a soup or a chemical reaction that you might have in a laboratory. So it'll be unique. Suddenly synapses connect and things become possible in your brain. When they're possible in your brain, they show up in your sessions. The belief system is a big fat door. It can be. You know, if you don't believe something, it ain't going to happen for you.